probably the storyline of practice is the development of our defensive players that have really distanced themselves from some other guys. And what's really good to see is the starting corners in Nikel and Tony Burnett really play at a really high level, not just getting turnovers, but how physical they're playing, how smart they're playing. It's really good to have those guys starring right now this early, this far away from playing. Games in the fall is really good for us. And then TJ, after ending the season healthy, has had a great off, or not healthy, has had a great off season, and really has taken his game to the next level. So it's pretty good to see three of your secondary positions that you feel really good about this early on.
You said the other day you were really looking forward to watching the film from Saturday. When you did watch it, what stood out?
Well, I think the common theme that's standing out every day in practice, but especially when you went to that, I think we ended up maybe 54 plays at the end, which would be about 3/4 of a game, is to watch our team that we do have some star players. We have some legitimate NFL star players, but there's such a gap between those guys and not just the bottom of your roster, but really some of the lower starters even. And so obviously our challenge is to develop those guys, get the new guys when they come in here, get the healthy guys or get the injured guys back, and develop a team. Because right now we would not be a very good team if we were playing, and we'd have some really good players, but we just wouldn't be able to put it all together because of where the numbers are at. So we'll be excited when we get to the fall for all the new guys coming in. This is an abnormal number. I believe that 25 or 26 guys, or 24 guys coming in new. That's a big number to have. And so 24 new guys plus a bunch of these injured guys coming back. A lot of work to develop into a team instead of just having 4 or 5 star players.
Who are those star players in your mind?
Robert Woods by far, has really worked really hard to improve his game, even though it's hard to imagine he's only in the second semester here. Matt Barkley, Red Ellison is coming along, getting close to that. And then when you go to the other side of the ball, Nick Perry really is a really good player. Ran 4.6 for us, this offseason. Kind of, it's good and bad. Our defensive end our 2 defensive ends ran faster times than 2 of our tailbacks. So it's a pretty neat thing to have on that side of the ball. And then obviously the 3 DBs that I talked about are playing really well.
So Red Ellison's a legit NFL guy right now.
Yeah, he is. And when you go to that position, you see guys that because they're very physical, because they play really hard, they get drafted and they play for a long time on there. It's just a position there aren't many of. Every team in that league's looking for a 3rd tight end all the time. And if he catches the ball well and stays healthy, he'll play at the next level.
What happened to Christian Tupu today? He came back and he kind of...
Yeah, I think it scared him a little bit. We'll go in for some x-rays. He got banged on that knee, and I think it made him a little bit nervous, and so we're going to take him in for some x-rays.
How do you look before that? And you also got Wes Horton back today.
Yeah, we tried to make those 2 guys do a little bit more. Wes obviously has been a really good player for us at times. Now he's got to be more consistent. And then, Christian was a good player before he got hurt. So it'll be good to have those guys back.
You mentioned the other day how Jesse Scroggins seemed like he had a good day Saturday. What about the 2 new guys, Cody and Max? What have you seen out of them so far, and what specific areas do they need to improve in?
Yeah, they flash at times. Max has, probably has the bigger arm. Cody has really good command of the game, and so we're pushing him as hard as we can. We do have to remember we're still seniors in high school, and but we're giving them a lot of reps. This is great for them to be here. They'll be miles ahead of if they would have come in here in the fall.
Do they seem overwhelmed at all by all the the verbiage and all that stuff?
A little bit. It would be impossible not to. I would imagine even Matthew. I wasn't here when he was here 2 years ago in the spring. I'm sure he was too. And it's just so formed in the high school playbook.
With spring ball being about halfway over now, what's been the biggest question mark thus far that you've answered, and which one is the biggest one that still remains?
Well, I think we've answered the other corner spot for now. You know, in Tony Burnett. You know, anytime that you can feel good about a starting guy that you didn't necessarily know for sure when you came in, especially when it was a guy we moved his position, it's kind of like you knock that spot off, you know, and you get really good when you can knock 22 of them off. The biggest question mark that hasn't been answered is the offensive line. You know, we have one legitimate college player playing there right now, and Matt, and the rest of the guys really, none of them have played a significant snap of college football ever, so we have a lot of work to do there.
I don't know how many interceptions he's thrown exactly, but it seems like Matt's thrown roughly one a day or so. Does that alarm you at all?
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of things going into that, unfortunately. You know, with the not having a lot of receivers out here, you know, and has had guys banged up. There's been a lot of practices. He's really had 2 scholarship receivers out here going, so that's part of it, and the offensive line. So, unfortunately, you know, it's happening. We don't want any. Some are his fault, some aren't.
The offensive line, how good a player can man?
Well, I think Matt's is more of a being disciplined than talent. He's extremely talented, extremely long. You know, his body's set up and his makeup. You know, he should play for a long time on Sundays. You know, his brother was as good as they come, and he's a better pro prospect size-wise than his brother, but he's got to be more consistent. He had a lot of mental errors last year. You know, he's got to be able to put drives together and then quarters together and games together. You know, to be a premier player.
Patrick Hall had a couple of interceptions today. It seems like he's kind of started out this spring on the bottom of the depth chart, but how's he coming along?
Yeah, Patrick's doing really well. Really had a good day today. You know, shut down Robert on one drive. You know, where he was matched up on him the whole drive. So another good thing to see. You know. You know, a good thing is a lot of the guys that we end up talking about here are guys that are in their first year here. You know, the Robert Woods, Dylan Baxter, DJ Morgans, Kel Robies. You know, we're talking the young tight ends. You know, we're talking about a lot of guys that are in their first year here, and you know, Patrick's another one of those guys. And so more of those guys that can pan out for us and play, obviously that will help our future a lot.
Else?